Hello, gorgeous women. Hello. So today I want to speak to you around being seen and being heard. And I want to talk about this because they're one of the common things, the most common things that I see women who I work with come to me with, right? Their deep desire to be seen and to be fully heard in their own desires, in their truths, in what they speak. And it really clamps us, it really suffers us. And I want to share with you a personal story around this for me. And it actually happened just recently. And it reminded me of how conditioned we actually are to not speak our desires, to not speak our truth, to not be seen in what we're navigating through, to not value us and what we deeply desire. And that was Hey Em, and that was when I was staying with some beautiful friends of mine. They were over here in Bali and we were all staying together, and there were 2 nights where we were coming to the end of our stay, and I had to so I was staying in one of the rooms, and then on the last 2 nights they had a friend coming, so I chose to still stay there with them, and I chose to stay in the big media room that we had. And in this big media room, Eric, one of the amazing tribe that we had there with us, he is an incredible human being. Eric Bergen, if you don't know him, he's amazing, and he really has a knack for seeing women. And anyway, he had his photography stuff set up in this media room, and that's where he was working. And he said to me, just let me know, what it is that you need. What do you desire? And what are your needs and your desires within this space? Because I'm still going to be working from here, but I want to honor you in your needs and your desires, right? And this is what he said to me. And obviously I took that on board, and I came back to him, and what actually came up for me, hey Joe, was this this feeling of I couldn't possibly speak up, this feeling of feeling like I was a burden, and this feeling of, as long as I speak to him, how can I work with him? How can I work around him? How can we make this work together? But how can I work around him, right? Because he's in the room. So I essentially was putting myself to the side, negating me as a human being, and putting his needs above mine. And so we had a discussion around what that looked like, and we settled on something. And it was on the second night that I was staying there, he sent me a message, and in regards to some appointments that he had. And when he sent me this message, it triggered the hell out of me. But it actually triggered the stuff inside of me that I actually hadn't said. And we caught up the next morning, and it triggered me to the point where I actually was going to find somewhere else to stay. Anyway, we caught up the next morning and sat down, and he sat in front of me, and he asked me how I was and what I need. And normally in this situation in the past, because I haven't been practiced in speaking my vulnerabilities or speaking what's real for me, I would have just said, oh no, it's okay, it's all good, it's fine, I'm just going to get another place, like, it's all good, I'm fine, you just do you. And I decided to, in that moment, be really seen, and it was bubbling up within me. And this is the power of being seen in front of other human beings, right? Because I don't believe we can always access the depth of that trigger, or the depth of that energy that creates that trigger, that is sitting in our body by ourselves. So when Eric was in front of me asking me these questions, brought it up even more. So I had the choice speak into that and be seen in that, or pretend that everything was okay. So I chose the first option. And as I was speaking into this stuff, he just held space for me, witnessed me, and loved me without judgment, knowing that I was a perfectly whole human being during the whole process, during my mess. And I came to the end of it and I had my own solution, and we had a solution. He said to me, so what is it that you really desire and what you really need in this situation? Hey, Kim. And I felt I could speak to him about that. I connected in with myself with what that was, and I spoke that to him. And this is something that I see happen all the time, these things, and obviously I work with this stuff for myself as well, and I've navigated through this stuff and it continues to come up. So the big thing is that we get to actually catch it. So I want to talk about the importance of being seen and heard, and this story is just a prime example, because prior to that, had he not have sat me down and allowed me to really be heard and seen in what I was feeling, first and foremost, I don't believe that the depth of that feeling would have come to the forefront. Second of all, I believe the energy would have stayed in my body and recreated the cycle over and over again and played out in a separate area of my life. And I want to share another quick story with you before I left for retreat, on Nikki Ayres retreat that I've just come from. I lost one of my pearl earrings that my mum gave to me, and she's in this group. I just realized I haven't told her yet. So I lost one of her earrings that she gave to me, and I lost it the night before I left for retreat. And I looked everywhere for it, and I was absolutely heartbroken. So heartbroken. And anyway, fast forward a couple of days, thought I'd dealt with it, let it go, and we were sitting in circle at retreat and talking about letting things go, and I decided to share this story around, it meant something to me, and I decided to let it go, and blah, 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 all this stuff. Well, as soon as I started sharing, there were probably 8 women listening to me, witnessing me, and as soon as I started sharing, all this stuff came up, and I burst into tears, because what actually was sitting there it wasn't actually the earring that I felt like I had lost, but what the earring meant to me. And what the earring meant to me connected back to my relationship with my mum, and also my relationship with my dear auntie who had passed away, and who was one of my mum's, her and my mum were really, really close. So this triangle of powerful women, and it represented something within that for me. And that didn't actually come forward until I was being witnessed by a group of women. So it's so important that we allow ourselves to be seen. And I wanted to share this because the feminine likes to be seen. As women, we desire attention. We desire attention because it's our food and it's our water. The energy of ourselves, the energy of our body soaks it in the way that we need water and we need food. And this is why you see a lot of the times, there are, with strip clubs, the woman, the feminine is up dancing and the men sitting, because the men like to witness and the feminine likes to be witnessed. And that's not to say that women never witness. Obviously, we have both masculine and feminine energies within us, but this is one of the really, really great ways that we can tap into this essence within us. And what this invites us to do is actually access a deeper level of intimacy within ourselves, to then be able to share a deeper level of intimacy with other people. And what happens in those moments of being seen, if we choose to, it helps us to eradicate the perfectionist archetype or role, mask that we choose to play, which a lot of us do. it helps us to eradicate this first and foremost, because we get to be seen in our mess, right? And heaven forbid if we're seen in our mess. The second thing is, it actually helps us to release stuck trauma, quotation marks, or energy in our body that is actually holding us back. And one of the other things that I've really noticed with myself is that can happen. We can get really, really good at sorting out our own stuff, which I have done, and eventually it starts to become ineffective, right? Everything's effective until it becomes ineffective. And what happens is we just start repeating the same cycle and the same loop in our heads and therefore in our life. So it's imperative that we actually access other people to witness us in our mess, because that's what truly heals. And the way that I believe it truly heals is because each person witnessing us is actually a piece of us, and they actually have a transmission for us that is drawing this energy out of our body in the most powerful way that our minds can't even comprehend. So being witnessed is so incredibly important for us to be seen and being heard, right? As women, how many of us speak up and speak into the things that we deeply, deeply desire? I can tell you now that I struggled to speak into what I deeply desired. And as you can tell from the story that I told in the beginning, it can still be present sometimes, because we're told that we have to shut ourselves down. It's not okay to be heard. It's not okay to speak our power. It's not okay to speak our truth. And what actually happens is we can tap into what our truth is when we're asked what our deep desires are. But our natural default, and just witness this within yourself over the next few days or however long, our natural default is to suppress that, go, no, it's not okay, we're not worth that, and speak an answer that is simply comfortable or satisfactory, or that fits in with everyone else. How can we fit in with everyone else? How can we, it's a people pleaser answer, right? And you might be speaking from a place of direction and certainty within yourself, but there's an energy that comes with that we get to stand in, right? There are different levels to speaking our truth, and sometimes we can be at the beginning where we actually can't even speak our truth, and other times we're actually really good at speaking our truth, but it's coming from a place of anger because we've felt suppressed our whole life. So it's actually coming from a place of resentment and anger, and also still a place of people pleasing. So this can come out in the form of like questions like, you know, say for instance, someone didn't do something for you that they said they would. You then, instead of speaking it directly to them, will wait a couple of days and then go, oh, it's okay, I'll just do it myself, right? Because you're not satisfied with what they've done. And then you'll start to resent and get really, really angry. And then when you next speak to them, you'll drop it like it's a little subtle, sly comment like, oh, and how come you guys didn't do that? Or how come you didn't speak that to me? Or I thought you were going to do that, hey? Like in a jokey kind of way. And it comes through as resentment and anger, rather than in the moment, standing in your power, tapping into what it is that you deeply desire in that moment, which can actually be very, very vulnerable. And if we're not connected to ourselves and our bodies, then we're actually not connected to this vulnerability and don't have the acceptance around the fact that the vulnerability in the power that we speak is going to be there no matter what, okay? So standing in that, speaking from that place and going, hey, so this is actually how I'm feeling at this point in time. I deeply desire that you do this. Are you able to meet that? Are we going to, are we going to be on the same page? Are you able to do that for me? Like from a place of total vulnerability, total like, this is what I want, this is what I desire right now, and speaking from that place. So we get to do it in levels. And what I have for you all in regards to this, to practice this, because this is something that I believe so deeply, and if any of you who are watching this have spoken to me or been around me, being seen and being heard is one of the things it's one of my biggest values. I believe it heals because I don't have your answers, you have your answers. I'm just simply mirroring whatever those answers are that you need. So my invitation for you, and this is what I also invite you all to do throughout all the work that I do. This is one of the main pillars, is being seen and being heard. And this is why I deeply, deeply believe a group environment is so imperative to us healing, because we cannot do it alone. We absolutely cannot do it alone. We need to be seen, and also in person as well. That's another big thing. This online space, like, it's good to a certain degree, to a certain level, but it needs to be in person. So my invitation for you all, whoever is watching this, and if you're watching the replay, over the next 24 hours, I invite you to jump on a live and simply allow us to eye gaze you, and you eye gaze into the screen, into the camera. And what you'll do is you'll do about a 2-minute eye gaze into the screen. So it's going to look something like this. So allowing your body to relax, face out of the hair out of the face, I mean. Looking deeply at the camera with both your eyes. You may notice some energy start to rise in your body. I invite you to open your mouth and move your jaw. Shake out any tension in your shoulders, and just simply allow us to witness you. 2 minutes, you don't have to put a caption at all. It's 2 minutes noticing what's arising in your body as you're doing this. Trying not to smile or laugh. And just allowing us to really, really witness you, okay? So this is my invitation for you over the next 24 hours to do a live within the group. Allow yourself to be witnessed, allow yourself to be seen, and allow yourself to be the woman that you deeply, deeply desire to be, because we get to see you in that, and we want to see you in that. So that's my invitation. And my what I suggest you do around this is to notice how comfortable you feel with, first and foremost, me inviting you to do this, what comes up within you when you go to think about doing this, and also what arises in your body at the time. And if you're watching this and if you're hearing this, do you completely just shut off and go, oh no, it's okay, I don't need to do that? Notice that too, because that's also a total distraction. It's also your mind going, oh no, we don't need to do this. Yeah, you do. And you can thank your mind for being in control if that's what you choose not to do, is to not do that. So you have 24 hours to do this. I am looking forward to all of the eye gazings. And if you have any questions around this, then please feel free to let me know, because you get to be seen, you get to be heard, and you get to be and stand in your power as a woman, okay? You get to do that. I love you, and I'll talk to you again soon.